Hello there, my name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where we're delving into the background of some shady individuals. Oh, do you see what I did there? Of course, we're talking about the new mechanic, which includes backgrounds, and we're going to demonstrate this with Kallach, Fury of Avernus. Maybe that's what we're saying, I don't know. But it's a 5-mana Tiefling Barbarian 5/4. So great start line. You know, I play this in Limited. Whenever you attack, if it's the first combat phase of your turn, untap all attacking creatures. They gain first strike until end of turn. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Ooh, that's pretty goddamn good when we've got that in the command zone. Having 2 combat steps, always very good. And choose a background. So what does this mean? Well, we can have an enchantment as our second commander. So that means that we can make this into a red-white commander, a red-green commander, red-black, red-blue, or a red-red commander. But we get to decide, and that's really, really awesome. But what are we going to choose? Well, you might have already seen it, but I'm going to choose that we have a criminal past. We've got a lot of bodies in the closet. 3-mana legendary enchantment background. So this sits in our command zone next to our commander and makes our deck Rakdos colours. Commander creatures you own have Menace, and this creature gets +X+0, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. I love playing around with the graveyard and filling it up with various means. And then we're going to have a massive commander that's also got Menace, so a nice bit of evasion on top of our extra combat step. But the cool thing about our commander, if we just go back, is it's not just when Karlach attacks, it's whenever we attack. So as soon as it comes in, we get 2 combat steps if we're attacking. This is phenomenal, and everything gets first strike. Really, really cool, and this is a great card to go along with it. So please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be making videos like this for every single legendary creature, if I can get through them before I die. No, I can't promise anything. People die. I'm no exception. But we're going to continue on through the madness. And let's have a look at what we've got for number 5. And in at number 5, we've got Buried Alive and ways of filling the graveyard. Because of the background I've chosen, we've got a lot of corpses hidden around. And let's bury them alive. 3 mana for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, and shuffle your library. So this fills up our graveyard, increases our commander's power by 3, and we can get a lot of things with things like Unearth and just flashback, creature flashback, it's stuff like that. But the main thing is it fills our graveyard up, and that's the whole theme of this deck, as well as the extra combat. Then we've got Celestus, a nice incidental way of filling up the graveyard. 3 mana legendary artifact. It's either day or night. It becomes day as the Celestus enter the battlefield. Taps for 1 mana of any colour. Then you can pay 3 and tap it. If it's night, it becomes day. Otherwise, it becomes night. Activate only as a sorcery. So that's really cool. I'm playing around with day and night. And it taps for mana. So I love an effect that you can just sit on a mana rock. But whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, you gain 1 life and you draw and discard a card. Oh, that's what I want. We can just sit there and, so long as you're watching what your opponents do and they're, playing spells or not playing spells, we get to loot through our deck and start filling up our graveyard incidentally. And that's wonderful to just have on a mana rock, which we want to be playing anyway. Then we've got Morality Shift for a big game-ending play. 7 mana for a sorcery. Exchange your graveyard and your library. Then shuffle your library. Say you've got about 10 cards in your graveyard. Well, all those cards become your library, and then we've got 90 odd cards in our graveyard. So our commander is going to be absolutely massive with Menace and First Strike. Should be able to take out maybe 1 or 2 players. Wonderful play to end a game. Then we've got Seasoned Pyromancer, a really cool way of getting lots of things in the graveyard. 3 mana 2/2 when it enters the battlefield. Discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discarded this way, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. Really nice, builds up a nice board state, and we're sort of committing bodies to the board which can block, do all sorts of things. And, When we've got 2 combat stamps, we want things to attack. So, you know, not the biggest body, but at least it can attack. And it fills the yard. Then, if this goes to the graveyard, we can pay 5 mana to exile it and get 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. Last nice dinch attempt to sort of save our life. Our opponents could easily forget about this, think, haha, I'm going to swing in for lethal and exile this. You've got 2 blockers there. Really, really nice. Then cycling, obviously the best mechanic ever printed. You know that, I know that, we all know that. And it sits on Scion of Darkness. 8 mana for an avatar with trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control and cycling for 3. So obviously the cycling, discard the card to draw a card. We're going to filter through the deck, fill up our graveyard. But the cool thing about this is if we return it and we get 2 extra combat steps, if we manage to deal damage twice, we get 2 extra creatures onto our field. Works amazingly. I love it. The artwork as well. Oh, chef's kiss. Ridiculously good. Then, speaking of attacking twice, Conspiracy Theorist has a really cool on-attack trigger. 2 mana 2/2. When it attacks, you may pay 1 and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So again, looting through the deck. Whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards, you may exile 1 of them from your graveyard. If you do, you may cast it this turn. So this is really good because say we wanted to cast that spell, but we needed to dig as well. This gives us the best of both worlds. And it's not just on the triggers from Conspiracy Theorist. So whenever we discard a card, which is very, very nice. Then Rowdy Crew is a great way of filling it up with something. You know, I don't know exactly what's going to go into the graveyard because it's random. 4 mana for a 3/3 trample, human pirate. When it's the battlefield, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards at random. It's random. You know, it adds to the fun, nice bit of tension there. You don't know what you're going to be getting rid of. If 2 cards that share a card type are discarded, however, you put 2 1/1 counters on Rowdy Crew. Nice. Great bit of value, and it's, you know, a decent attacker that we could attack with twice. So there's a nice selection of cards that can help us fill up our graveyard. Really cool. Then let's have a look at number 4. And at number 4, we're filling up the graveyard. These are all creatures that and effects that take advantage of that. So Boneyard Mycodrax, I don't know, is a 3 mana star. So its power and toughness are each equal to the number of other creature cards in your graveyard. Really, really nice. We're going to be milling tons of cards into our graveyard. Then this can become absolutely massive for just 3 mana. But there's more. It has Scavenge for 5 mana, so exile this card from your graveyard. Put a number of 1/1 counters equal to its power on target creature. Scavenge only is a sorcery, so potentially we could turn our commander into a massive threat, or just one of our other creatures into a huge, huge idiot. And this is wonderful. The Scavenge, 5 mana is quite expensive, but not the worst. And you've got to remember the star is in effect in all zones. So it's in our graveyard, in our hand, in our battlefield, everywhere. So the star is applicable everywhere. Then we've got Sewer Nemesis. 4 mana for a horror. As it enters the battlefield, choose a player. If we wanted to mill ourselves, it could be us. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in that chosen player's graveyard. Whenever the chosen player casts a spell, that player puts the top card of the library into their graveyard. So this is a nice bit of incidental mill while this just keeps growing and growing and growing. I would generally choose myself for this because we're very much on the self-mill plan, so hopefully we will have the biggest graveyard. But say someone over there has, 25,000 cards in the graveyard. Don't know how, but they might do. This will be absolutely massive, so choose them. And the nice incidental mill is always good. Then we've got Mortivore, classic. 4 mana for a star. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in all graveyards, not just our own. So if there's a lot of board wipes going on or someone else is playing a reanimator deck, this is going to be huge. And you can pay a black to regenerate it, which means if it would be destroyed or have lethal damage done to it, you tap it and it removes that whatever. It doesn't destroy it, at least that time anyway. Then Mausoleum Secrets is another great way of using all of the cards in our graveyard. So instant for 2 mana, Undergrowth. Search your library for a black card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. If I was going to play this, I'd very much skew my deck building to be more around the black cards, really. So we can always search up something with this. Or at least every effect that I want, so like removal spells, board wipes, reanimation spells, I'd have at least one that was black, so I can always get it with a silver bullet. Really, really cool card. Then, similar to all the other cards, we've got Night Howler. It's a 3-mana 0/0 enchantment creature. We can bestow it, which means we can cast it as an aura onto a creature. So again, target our commander or something else to make it massive. Night Howler and enchanted creature each get +X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. So it's a multi-ball, but you know, we can put it onto something. Wonderful card. Really, really powerful. Then, if we've got all these massive cards, you know, massive creatures, let's take advantage of that with things like Greven, Predator Captain. So 5 mana for a 5/5 with Menace, Human Warrior, and we get +X/O, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. Okay. Whenever it attacks, and we can attack twice in this deck, remember, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you draw cards equal to that creature's power, and lose life equals that creature's toughness. Well, with something like Night Howler, we could easily be drawing 20 cards. Okay, yes, we're going to lose 20 life. Ooh, big whoop. But that is amazing. Just sift through the deck, and then Greven, because we've lost 20 life, will be a 25/5. Swinging in with Menace, and we can do it twice with our commander. We can swing in twice. This card is amazing, and will just win you games. Then we've got Doomweaver. Slightly similar. It's a 6 mana 1/8. Probably won't win you that many games, but it's a Spider Horror with Reach. 1/8. What a bizarre stat line. It's got Soul Bond, so when it comes in, you can pair it with another creature, or leave it unpaired, and then when another creature enters, pair it with that. As long as it's paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, when this creature dies, draw cards equal to its power. So that fits fantastically with all of these massive creatures that we have. When they die, we're going to get tons of advantage. Well, hey, jobs are good. And really, really awesome stuff. And then that brings me on to number 3. And at number 3, well, what have we got? We've got Balthor, the Defiled. He's a poor little dirty dwarf. So 4 mana for a 2/2. All minions get +1/+1. Now, that refers to the minion creature type, not just minions as in the Hearthstone sort of sense. Triple black, remove it from the game. Each player returns all black and all red creatures from his or her graveyard to play. So this is all about mass reanimation, bringing everything back. And guess what? We're playing black and red creatures, aren't we? Oh, now there's a surprise. And, you know, our opponents might have a couple that they bring back, but we're going to get the major advantage of this. Similarly, there's Living Death. Oh, I love this card. 5 mana for a sorcery. Each player exiles all creature cards from his or her graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control. Then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. A lot of thens. A lot of progression in this card. Basically, you flip-flop your graveyard and your battlefield. Amazing. It's just going to generate so much value. And then once that's happened, you can cast our commander. And then we've got 2 combat steps with all these creatures we've brought back. Then, you know, thing with Living Death is our opponents get their creatures back. Why don't we get our opponent's creatures? Rise of the Dark Realms is a 9 mana sorcery. Puts all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. I'll take them all. Thank you very much. Then if we've got some sort of haste enabler, we can swing straight away. And if our commander's on the field, well, we can swing twice. And everyone will be dead. I can guarantee it. Unless you're not playing anything good, which is distinctly possible to commander, to be fair. Thriller Encore is another sort of version of this. 5 mana for an instant. Put onto the battlefield under your control all creature cards in all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. So this is the sort of card you just sit there, you've built up a board state and you're just like, right, okay, I'm going to keep attacking, then the board wipe's going to come. They wipe the board, you cast this and go, haha, I'll have everything back because it gets all of your opponent's creatures as well. Awesome card. You know, nice reanimation sort of section here. Then let's have a look at number 2. And at number 2, we've got extra combat steps because our commander is all about extra combat. let's have some more extra combat. And one of the best ones is Morag, Fury of Akun. 6 mana for a 6/6 Minotaur Warrior. Each creature you control gets +1 to so for each time it has attacked this turn. So our commander is going to generate an extra combat step, then this can generate more. And, you know, everything will just grow exponentially. So, each creature, no, I've read that bit. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of the combat, untap all creatures you control. So, we can just keep going, keep attacking, just pow, pow, pow. If you can get multiple lands in, you know, during a main phase, multiple combat steps, fantastic. Playing fetch lands, things like that just works wonderfully for this. Really awesome card. Then we've got the Port Raiser. 5 mana for a 4/4. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. Can't attack a player has already attacked this turn. But this can potentially build up the combat steps and build them up and build them up if we've got a bit of evasion built into the deck, which, you know, hopefully you will have. Maybe you can put a Whisper Silk Cloak on to this guy, something like that. That can help protect our commander as well. Then this isn't an extra combat step, but it benefits from the extra combat. Azra Odds Maker. I was going to say Seeker. It's an odds maker. It's gambling. 3 mana, 3/3. Azra Warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard a card. So a way to fill the graveyard. If you do, choose a creature. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw 2 cards. So if we've got something that's unblockable and we've got a lot of extra combat steps, well, discard a card. We can potentially draw in like 4, 6 cards. This card's fantastic. Really, really good. And then a classic, we've got Aggravated Assault. 3 mana enchantment. Pay 5, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Plays ability, only any time you could play a sorcery. Did you like that presentation then? I thought I'd try something new. I didn't like it. But excellent, just keep attacking, works fantastically. And that brings me on to number 1. And at number 1, we've got Izareth? The Awakener. 3 mana for a 3/3 Death Touch. Whenever it attacks, you may pay X. When you do, return target creature card and convert mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Okay, so, you know, you can see the synergy. When we're attacking, well, we're going to be attacking twice, so we could potentially reanimate 2 things. But the best thing about this is the fact that it has Death Touch. Because our commander, when we attack, gives all of our creatures first strike. So if anyone's ever played Magic and, you know, keywords interact in interesting ways. So first strike and Death Touch, we're going to deal that damage first. It's going to be Death Touch, which kills the creature instantly, which means their block meant nothing. They don't kill our creature. So Death Touch and first strike work phenomenally together. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing. And this section's all about that. It's Death Touch creatures and sort of Death Touch tribal. Gorax, the Tomb Shell, is a similar card. 8 mana for a 4/4 Zombie Turtle. As an additional cost to spell, you may exile any number of creature cards from your graveyard. This spell costs 2 less to cast. It's like Mega Delve. For each card exiled this way. Death Touch, so excellent with the first strike. And whenever it attacks or dies, choose a card at random exile with Gorax and put that card into its owner's hand. So we can rebuy maybe the cycling cards that we had, things like that. Amazingly good. It just, wonderful. Then we got the Raving Dead. 5 mana for a 2/6 Death Touch Zombie. Beginning of combat on your turn, choose an opponent at random. Raving Dead attacks that player at this combat if able. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half his or her life rounded down. That's a fantastic on-dealing damage effect. And Death Touch with first strike, obviously fantastic, so we can just attack with impunity and just whittle down our opponent's creatures. Then we've got the Hooded Blightfang, 3 mana for a 1/4. This is like a Death Touch Lord. It's a Death Toucher, and whenever a creature you control with Death Touch attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, we're going to be attacking a lot of times with Death Touch creatures, you know, maybe 3 or 4 times a turn, and that can just whittle down our opponents magnificently. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals damage to a Planeswalker, destroy the Planeswalker. Death Touch for Planeswalkers. Brilliant. Then we've got Vile Entomber, which works with the sort of filling up our graveyard, and it's got Death Touch. Hey! 4 mana for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. Really, really nice, works fantastically in the deck. Then we've got Graveblade Marauder, 3 mana, 1/4, Death Touch, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. It's like all the synergies are coming together. My God, look at that. Really, really awesome, works fantastically. And because it's cheaper than our commander, we can get it out before it and then attack and get 2 combats even before our commander's getting to attack herself. Then we've got Master of Cruelties, 5 mana for a 1/4, first strike Death Touch. We don't even need our commander for the Death Touch on this one. Can only attack alone. And whenever it attacks a player that isn't blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. Master of Cruelties assigns no combat damage this turn, so you can easily take someone who's on like 58 life down to 1 if they can't block this. So put in unblockable sort of effects. And there's my Death Touch package. I think it works really well in this deck. It's really, really awesome to see. So if you like this video, please do subscribe and, you know, join me on many more videos like that. I'm going to be making a lot more. I'm back for a while now, so come and join me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.